Today we are going to start the module number 3 from the Docker for Java. There we are going to learn about Dockerizing a Java Spring Boot application. In the lesson number 1, we will see what is a Docker file. So this is the file which is going to tell Docker how to build an image from your application. This file is going to contain all the recipes for building an image from your application. Before Docker file, think about how we used to normally run a Spring Boot application. Assume that we are having a Spring Boot application as user service, and when we build the application, it generates a jar file, right? So we used to share this jar file to the another developer or another person to run the application. But to run the application in another machine, what are the things we have needed? Java with a proper version. Then you should know the setup command, correct environment variable. Otherwise, that machine will throw some exception or any error. This issue was there when we used to normally run the application. But when Docker came, we can just simply run this command, docker run user service. So it will run the application directly instead of following all the installation manual. So the Docker no need to install these things manually, right? But how does Docker knows what to put inside, like Java version and what are the environments and all? Here the answer is Docker file. Let's take a real life analogy. Imagine you have to make a tea. What are the things you need it? Boiling water, tea leaves, milk, sugar. After that, the tea will be prepared and you can easily serve, right? This is exactly the same way how Docker used to follow. Step 1, take the Ubuntu. Step 2, install the Java. Then step 3, copy application. Then it will expose the port. Then step 5, run the application. Docker follows this instruction one by one. What is a Docker file? Docker file simply a text file which don't have any extension, not like Docker file.txt or Docker file.java. No, it don't have any extension, only Docker file. Let's take an example of a Docker file. Inside the Docker file, what you have to write from Nginx. That's it, one line. What does it means? Take the Nginx image, create image from it. See a simple example for Docker file for a Spring Boot application. It looks scary, right? But don't worry, we'll understand everything. At the end of the lesson, you will understand each line from this file. So here is our starting point from Eclipse Tamarind 21 JDK. This is a provider. Docker is saying you have to pull the container, pull and use the container image Java 21 for a base layer. So this is going to be the base layer for our Spring Boot application, the JDK 21 version. Now the second line, it is saying create a app folder. Now the third line is saying copy this one to this. This is our source, this is our destination. So what is the source? Inside the target, we are having the user service.jar file when we build the application, right? From there, copy to the Docker container with the name app.jar file. Now this line is saying expose this application in 8080 port. So this application is going to run inside the Docker as with the 8080 port. Entry point. This is our command to run the application. You can see here app.jar, whatever the name we have given while copying the jar file. If we compare a process without Docker file, what we have to do? The developer have to do the manual installation. Then it will install the Java, copy the jar, then he will run the jar. He can share the jar and will tell to run the jar. And the process will be different for each machine. But if we are having Docker with Docker, so what are the steps it will follow? The Docker file, then it will do the Docker build from the Docker file, then it will create the image, then it will work everywhere. So we get to know we have to create the Docker file to create an image from our application. Now where should we keep the Docker file? Usually we have to keep the Docker file inside the root project. Assume that here is our project user service. Whenever the project is there, in the root folder we have to keep the Docker file. How the Docker file is working internally? We have written some lines inside the Docker file, right? So it will read the first line, then it will execute. Then it will read the second line, then it will execute. Like this, it will goes on and finally it will create the image. Image will be ready. Production best practice is assume that you are having multiple service like user service, payment service, trainer service. Each project should contain a Docker file so that every microservices can build its own image independently.